The top worst films of 2019. That is what we are going to be discussing next here on MBE.
Yes, Stephen, you're absolutely correct. It's the top 10 worst movies of 2019. What have we got coming in at number 10, Stephen? We'll be doing it from slightly less shite to complete and utter horse shite, so I'll let you introduce number 10 to everyone.
We don't have the same flies here, John, so we'll move on anyway. It's number 10, it's Godzilla, King of the Monsters. This was directed by Michael Dougherty, starring Kyle Chandler, Vera Farmiga and Millie Bobby Brown and a whole host of other people.
Yeah, it's a whole host of other people, Stephen, who shouldn't have bothered really. This movie, we slagged this movie off, Stephen. Well, I didn't. No, I was a little bit more praising of it, and obviously the initial trailers dropping. You did absolutely destroy it. I think you've been vindicated, and all those little fanboys out there who, by the way, seem to have enjoyed it anyway. If you go on to Rotten Tomatoes, 42% I should say from critics, 83% from the audience members. So there's a niche element within there. I actually think the movie couple reviewed this for us, and we did speak about it earlier in the year on the blog rundown. I think it was Jerry who was a big fan of the Godzilla thing, the mythology, movies, and he actually didn't mind it. I think there was elements even he felt grated on him as well though, so I'm just glad to see this movie's burnt. I'm sick of Godzilla movies. I was never really a big fan. Probably the best one for me was that one in, was it 98 or something, with Jamiroquai doing Deeper Underground. It's been a downward spiral for that franchise, and it's so bad, Stephen, that look, they've had to delay King Kong, I think, versus Godzilla or whatever it's called. So not a great movie. Vera Farmiga, really like her though. She's obviously been in The Conjuring and whatnot. Great actress, and we have got some pretty decent actors in there like Ken Watanabe and whatnot, Bradley Whitford, Charles Dance, the great Charles Dance. But it just wasn't enough. It was a bit of a shit show by all accounts. Very CG heavy, big bombastic battle sequences.
We knew that.
And sadly, Stephen, once I did go and watch the movie, it became apparent that a lot of these action sequences, which Jerry also picked up in as well, were very dark and hard to follow in parts. So that was really disappointing. Overall, not a great movie, and I think it deserves to be in our top 10 worst movies of the year. But what's your thoughts?
John, it's one of these films, it's going to be a Marmite film for a lot of people. You know, you're either going to be really invested, you know, obviously in the mythology, etc. And if you like your sort of big bombastic type of action films with lots of carnage, then I suppose you'll get something out of this. Sadly, I didn't. You know, I thought this was just a run-of-the-mill monster film. It was everything I thought it would be. The trailers that we did react to, I think it might have been 2 we did as well, did not impress me one bit. I felt that the CG at times was very stop motion look. I don't know if that was deliberate, you know, playing some sort of you know, maybe a callback to the old Sinbad films or something like that. Why you would do that, I don't know. But
one of the great monster movies, the Sinbad movies.
One of it is, John. Many of the it's just something movies that I can see why they've put the next one on hold, because certainly a lot of people didn't take to this film at all.
No, look, Stephen, we'll move on though to number 9, which is Men in Black International. Now, of course, this is the quasi sequel. This is the all the rage in Hollywood just now. We had it with Halloween, done to much better effect.
Certainly,
Not so well in this one. Halloween, they at least let that franchise breathe initially. This one, there's not been anywhere near enough time for people to really get over Men in Black 3 and the absolute shambles that movie was. Look, we went to see that in the cinema together as well, Stephen. That at least had, obviously, your man, what's he called again?
Will Smith,
no, the other one. Brosnan. Brosnan. But this one doesn't have it. Brolin. I'm tripping out my nut here. I'm struggling with a viral infection. Do bear with me. I seem to be also viral infections. I don't know what that's all about. But yeah, I digress. This one's only got Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth. You'd think that would work, but for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to work.
It's a strange one because both of the chemistry in the Marvel films is there. You know, you've got a good director in F. Gary Gray. It's there. The franchise should be interesting enough to carry some kind of you know, interesting storyline, but it doesn't. That's the thing, you know. I don't know if Will Smith knew this, you know, after his third outing in the franchise. He knew that it didn't have much legs, you know, left in it. Because certainly this movie didn't have it at all. There's something very odd about it. The storyline was very predictable. relied a lot on the sort of new alien creatures coming into it as well.
And poor laughs.
Yeah, and Liam Neeson as well. You saw where that character was going as well. It's very, very predictable. Emma Thompson, really in it. I think she phoned this performance in. So there was talk, when this film was obviously, doing its runs very early on, that there was talk about sequels and stuff like that, but it's not going to be.
It's not going to be, Stephen. I hope it's not. I hope they have seen the error of their ways. I believe it was Sony who made the movie, and we don't see any more goddamn Men in Black movies in the future, be it with Josh Brolin. That's the name, incidentally. Yeah. Or Will Smith, or maybe even bring back Tommy Lee Jones. Lord knows, man. Don't want to see that either. But yeah, it wasn't a great movie, Stephen. You're absolutely right. Tried to mine on some of the old sort of things we got in the other movies. Didn't work for me. Chemistry, although it's palpable in the MCU movies, was sadly missing in this one between Thompson and obviously your man Hemsworth as well. But look, that's life. Some things will hit.
Yeah.
These studios like to dabble in remakes and whatnot and quasi-sequels. Some pay off, some don't. This one didn't. We'll move on though, Steve.
We've all gone to
Will Smith movie.
Yeah, Gemini Man. This is the one where we felt that he was dodging the bullet with Men in Black and doing this one, but not to be. It's Gemini Man, John. This was directed by Ang Lee, a very good director.
Yes.
And stars Will Smith, as you said, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and Clive Owen, and a whole host of other people in there as well.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on this one, John? 5.7 out of 10 on IMDb suggests it's not the worst film out there.
No, Stephen, I mind going. I can't recall which movie it was. It may have been Ad Astra, and I seen obviously the trailer. We reacted to a few of the trailers.
Yeah.
I seen the trailer in the cinema though, and I thought that's actually intriguing. Held off. Seen a lot of the poor, obviously critical response. Audience members weren't really connecting with it. Apparently, it was a below par action movie. So I finally decided, look, I'll go and give it a bash, because I know we'll be speaking about some shit house movies at the end of the year. It's not the worst movie, Stephen, of 2019, that's for sure. Hence why it's not number one.
Yeah.
Just one of them.
Yeah.
It just didn't work for me. A combination of CGI, the de-aging didn't quite hit off. I think we've become so accustomed to MCU de-aging, and even what we've seen in The Irishman, that when you see it done badly, it becomes jarring, and that almost took me out of the movie itself. Then you also anchor that with the fact that the movie itself was just, it wasn't that riveting. It didn't captivate me. It was just a average action movie. They somehow managed to get Will Smith in, perhaps just the concept of the dual guys, this younger version, him trying to show him the error of the ways. It didn't work for me. Even Will Smith couldn't save it, and the guy's box office gold. So yeah, I don't know what else to add to it other than to say it wasn't very good.
No.
Sadly, 5.7 out of 10.
The
CG
that, John was probably as good as Princess Leia's in the last Star Wars film. There,
Rise of Skywalker.
Aging, it was very, very poor and very.
We never did speak about that.
It was very, obvious. It was almost like a video game.
Yeah.
The way it was done, it was. It took me out of the picture, and I didn't think the story was interesting enough either, so we'll move on anyway, unless you've got anything else to say.
No, just to say, some of the action was okay. Obviously it was slick. Will Smith does what he does, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah. We'll move on anyway to another non-slick film, John. It's Terminator Dark Fate, and it's directed by Tim Miller.
Yes.
And stars Linda Hamilton, top billing. Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is obviously Carl.
Top billing.
And Mackenzie Davis, and some other people as well. And one of the Luna guys as well. Can't remember his name.
Gabriel.
That's the one. Yeah.
It's not Diego.
No.
Diego.
No.
Diego. Yes, yeah.
It's not Robert Patrick.
No, it's not Robert Patrick. He was trying to be Robert Patrick, Stephen, but it didn't.
And Edward Furlong.
Edward Furlong, yeah. Some CGI 8-year-old version of him who hadn't aged at all in like 3-4 years. Do these guys not realise how quickly children grow?
No.
It's so bad that we've seen in It Chapter 2 they had to de-age and change the pitch of the voice. This little guy didn't change at all.
No, neither did Sarah Connor's clothes.
She's kicking him out with the same clothes.
The vest and the cap and the sunglasses,
Yeah, Steve, what can you say about this movie? It was a disaster, a pile of shit. It felt like Dark Phoenix in many ways, where it was just two different movies thrown together. It just didn't work. I don't know why I'm saying two different movies. It felt like 3-4 different movies.
Bad ones, yeah.
Yeah, bad ones. It felt like a series of set pieces with a threadbare plot going all the way through. Mackenzie Davis, I think her name is. She was okay.
She was fine, yeah.
Some of the performances were okay.
Yeah.
I did like Linda Hamilton. I actually enjoyed Arnie's Carl performance, humanising this Terminator. Seeing him going off and doing, I think it was upholstery. He was an upholsterer or something like that. Gabriel Luna was okay, better than what he looked in the trailers, but it just wasn't a great movie, Stephen. I says time and again, it was an okay action movie, but a shite, utterly shite Terminator movie. It was unnecessary, and then to slap the fans in the face by essentially killing John Connor off and before the credits, the opening start of
during
the movie,
yeah,
during the credits at the start, that was just a complete. That was the icing on the top of the cake, if you like, of shiteness.
Also, John, there was a lot of stuff going on in the background between Tim Miller and James Cameron as well, which has come out after obviously the film was released.
They
were very buddy, in the run up to this film's release. Since then, obviously, there's been a bit of a fallout. How deep that is, I'm not sure.
It says he won't work with him again, so I don't think James is rushing to go out and work with Tim Miller again.
I don't think James Cameron is in any rush to go back to that franchise. I mean, if he was, he would have been directing the film, and he would have done it maybe about 15 years ago. I think he was done with it in 1991, and really just wanted to pick up the checks, for anyone that wanted to pick up the franchise at any point without his name being attached to it. Hence why his reputation will remain intact. On the other hand, Tim Miller, he's got to take the fall for this because he is a director. You're right, Linda Hamilton was fine in this film. I thought she played a tormented mother, when there was that scene where she couldn't remember what John looked like, that was a good scene. I thought Arnold Schwarzenegger did what he had to do. He's in his 70s now. He can't do what he did back then.
Played a comedic figure. Really?
Almost 30 years ago. He just can't do that now. No. It's just the way it is. They could have de-aged him. I'm glad they didn't. That would have made it even more comical. But I thought the rest of the cast were fine, John. The story was just a rehash of Terminator 2, really, wasn't it? And a bit of Terminator 3 in there as well with the hybrid, or Terminator Salvation, I should say, with the hybrid Terminator half-human thing going on.
Stephen, they compared the movie to The Force Awakens of Terminator. Well, much like The Force Awakens, in hindsight, it would have been best not happening, because the franchise, as you did say, has just been a downward spiral of shit, essentially. It should have been left as a duology. That's why I always respect Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis for what they did with Back to the Future, just keeping it a trilogy, realising the story was finished and adding stuff onto it would just dilute it, and it would you can't compete with what you did before, and you just cannot make a Terminator movie like it was made back in the 80s and the early 90s, because it was of its time. And that stop motion sort of a live action practical effects, I think it just worked better. The CG in this movie, impressive though it was in spots, it looked fake and you just can't recreate it. So I digress, I'm done.
Yeah, John, we'll move on to our next film. It's The Curse of La Llorona, and this is directed by Michael Chaves. I think that's Chavez. It stars Linda Cardellini, Raymond Cruz, Patricia Vesquales. So need a rest after that cast. But what was your thoughts on this film, John? 5.4 out of 10 on IMDb.
Terrible. That's about 5.4 marks too high, Stephen, for this movie. It was just god awful. Bog standard horror movie. It could have been good. They were dealing with a great South American legend of this haunted figure who kills her children and comes back and haunts numerous other children, and obviously tries to kill them and drown them, I presume. It was just a terrible horror movie, really. It's some atmospheric moments, but it just lacked any real spectacle, any real anything, really. I say time and again, Stephen, I don't really scare easy. The horror genre really has to do something incredible, not perhaps to even scare me, but to make me feel and connect with it. We've seen it with the likes of Bird Box and obviously what was the other one? The Quiet Place, where it changes and does something unique. Hush was another one, where you do something different with the genre and it takes you out of your comfort zone and you think, oh, I quite like this. This one doesn't do it. It's just like those god awful Annabelle movies and what we've seen with The Nun. I think it was Peter Plumers who actually reviewed it on our blog rundown as well. I spoke about it previously. He actually ranks The Nun higher than this, and I agree with him. And I thought The Nun was an absolute travesty of a movie. So yeah, just not a good movie. Just utilising cheap parlour tricks, jump scares, shite.
That's all been done before. Yeah,
it has.
But we'll move on, John, to our next film, as we know time is pressing.
Yes.
And it's The Kitchen. And this was directed by Andrea Berloff, stars Melissa McCarthy, Tiffany Haddish, Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah, Stephen, you speak about movies which had great potential. This movie had really great potential to be a hit if it was done right, and they certainly get good actors in there, the likes of, as you did say, Melissa McCarthy and whatnot. Just didn't seem to work for me. I don't know why. It was also based on Hell's Kitchen. We've seen Daredevil and whatnot set in there. These mobsters' wives try to assume control and keep a lid on things, but it just didn't work. I don't know what it was.
Based on a comic book series.
Based on a comic book series, and you would expect with those actors to coming in, the likes of Tiffany Haddish, as you did say.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know why it didn't work for me. It was just average. And
it
seems to be
Melissa
McCarthy. She just seems to have a voodoo sign over most franchises or budding franchises or movies. We've seen it with Ghostbusters, and I've actually kind of a mellow to her. Can You Ever Forgive Me? It was a movie I really enjoyed, so it's a shame.
I like her.
I like it as well. It was Amy Schumer all along. I was getting them mixed up with her. That's what it was. I can't stand that Amy Schumer.
Happy Time Murders, John. That was a fantastic film.
Yeah, and Domhnall Gleeson was in there, Stephen. So I mean, that's certainly got actors that I enjoyed. James, that other actor, James Badge Dale, who looks like some other guy whose name completely eludes me at the moment. I can't recall what his name is. I seem to have issues with names. But
I've got issues with names, John, because I know that one of our writers, I think it might have been the movie couple, I can't remember.
It was,
did review this film as well. But you can catch that on obviously our website.
MovieBunderEntertainment.org.
Yeah, that's it, John. 5.3 out of 10 suggests it's a pretty average film. As I said, I don't know if you picked up on what I said there, John. I did say perhaps maybe it's because of the expectation levels, because it's based on a comic book series, which obviously have a fan base. I don't know whether it's a widespread fan base or if it's more of a cult following. Certainly it's something I wasn't aware of until the film's release.
Well, it's essentially, I think they're just trying to shake up the shackles of the genre, Stephen, do something different. We've seen it with Todd Phillips and also the Joker this year. They did it very successfully. We've seen it with Logan, doing something different within the confines of the comic book genre, but this didn't work. I don't know whether it's just because the source material is fairly new and there's not much meat to the bones or whatnot. I don't actually know much about the comics themselves. But it just wasn't a great movie for me. Just a whole host of things, really. It didn't work.
Move on to the meat of these bones, John. It's fish bones. It's Cats. And this was directed by Tom Hooper and stars a whole host of stars.
With Gary Hooper.
We can get one of Francesca Hayward, Taylor Swift's in there. Idris Elba, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Changes weekly, doesn't it?
So, John, 2.7 out of 10 for Cats. This is a film that the trailer, we actually panned for laughing at.
I was immature.
We're very immature about it. We couldn't really get our immature minds around the visuals and accepting these beings for what they are. Well, 2.7 out of 10 maybe suggests we're onto something.
Yeah, we actually know what we're talking about, Stephen. It surprised me as well, I have to admit. Tom Hooper was out. Hopper, I always say his name. Yeah, Hooper. I always want to say Hopper. He was out bumming this up, saying, look, it's better than what we've seen in the trailers. You should really go and watch this movie.
Why would you say that?
He screwed up the CGI, Stephen. They were still shipping the CG, an edited version of the film out after it hit the theatres. It was god awful. Judi Dench's wedding ring was showing on the body screen, man. What is going on, Tom? What are you doing, mate? Now, I actually spoke about this movie. He finished it very late, very, very late, like 2 days before the world premiere. Wow. He finished editing it, and they failed to render out some of the cat fur. It was just god awful, Stephen. A terrible musical. And I've actually enjoyed many of the musicals recently, the likes of La La Land, obviously Rocket Man and whatnot, The Great Showman. There's a bit of a renaissance. We're seeing, I can't recall the guy's name, he's doing an Elvis biopic, and he's doing something else. I think he's looking to do a Michael Jackson movie as well. So it's a renaissance, but this just didn't work. This is a classic case of Hollywood studios thinking they have gold with a certain formula. They're taking on Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, and it just hasn't adapted well. It was shit. There was no real discernible plot, Stephen, and that's okay if you have a big theatrical experience where you can go and enjoy it with fellow people and you're overawed by the actual dancing and the spectacle of people being there, but not in a movie. You need to have more meat to the bones, and there was no story.
John, we did see top billing was James Corden.
Yes. Wow. Maybe it was Rebel Wilson and James Corden, I don't know. I actually don't mind Rebel Wilson, actually. She's pretty funny, actually down to earth, that actor. But
listen, John,
Idris was okay. That's the one thing. He always stands out. That guy always makes things a little bit better. But when you've got Judi Dench and Ian McKellen and then in there and they can't even repair the damage, then you've had it. And it's a shame because Tom's a great director, he really is.
I'll just stick to Garfield, John. But we'll move on to our next film. It's Charlie's Angels. with a rating of 4.1 out of 10. Directed by Elizabeth Banks, stars Kristen Stewart, Naomi Scott and Ella Balinska.
Stephen, I'm going to admit here, I have not seen this movie. I'm just going to come right out and admit I haven't seen it, but it has to be in our top 10, even though we've not seen it. Maybe a little bit hypercritical here, but look, it's pile shit. Everyone is admitting it's a pile of shit. Apparently it's just an absolute mishmash of a carnage, really. The action sequences are different shots. They're utilising stunt doubles to do the actual acting and the action fighting sequences, and the actors themselves are putting boots off walls. It's like that Captain America movie from the 1990s. It's not very good, and I'm actually happy about it because Elizabeth Banks was coming out and being a little bit patronising to certain demographics in the audience, essentially saying they couldn't connect with it, attacking them. Well, that's absolute pish, Elizabeth, because same demographics went out and made Captain Marvel over $1 billion. So you're wrong. It's because the movie's shite. You have no experience with action movies.
I think Elizabeth Banks just has to take this one on the chin, John, and move on to our next project. This project was probably a terrible decision. It was a film and a franchise that doesn't have to be made again. You know, you're talking maybe 15 years, 12 years since the last one. I think it was Full Throttle, I can't remember. And it had good cast. I don't think the films have aged terribly. You can always go back and watch those ones, the ones with Drew Barrymore. And what's her name from The Mask?
Cameron Diaz. I was going to say Charlize Theron.
Well, I was going to say that, so that's why I let you say it, John. But yeah,
Steve, you'll go a long way to talk Brosnan
as well. He's in them as well. But I think you know, it's one of these franchises that, like Men in Black International, it didn't have to be made. If you really want to see a good Men in Black film, watch the original. If you want to see a good Charlie's Angels film, go back to that original film from, I think, 2003. I might be wrong.
There was ones before that, wasn't there? Was a TV show,
television series, John, that was sort of just out round about the time I was born. You know, I don't remember too much of it. My older sister, she was a fan of the television series, but I just couldn't take to it at all.
Yeah, that's fair enough, Stephen. Different strokes for different folks. So you actually look, the final thing I would add at the casting, it's a shame that it hasn't paid off, because Sam Claflin, I'm an immense fan of that guy. I love him, even in Peaky Blinders. I think he was in the last season there. He played the sort of a communist figure. Was he a communist? I think it was. And Elizabeth Banks, Patrick Stewart. Apparently Kristen Stewart is actually pretty decent in this movie, despite it being a car crash around about her. And again, as I did allude to, it's just what happens when a director is not familiar with the genre and tries to take it on because she's perhaps got a big head and thinks everything she touches will turn to gold. We've seen it with also Simon Kinberg and Dark Phoenix. Actually, I don't know why that's not in my top 10, incidentally. I forgot to add that one in. That should have been in there. Look, that is what it is. We'll move on.
I think it's probably because the other 10 we've got in there are worse. You know, but we'll move on, John, to our second last one. It's The Haunting of Sharon Tate. This was directed by Daniel Farrands. Stars Hilary Duff, Jonathan Bennett, Lydia Hurst. One of the things about this film, John, we know that I think it might have been DM that reviewed this film, and 2.9 out of 10 suggests it is a pretty poor movie. DM. He
didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, he sort of made those sentiments as well, you know. But I think it's one of the subject matters that we'll just talk about briefly, John, because I've not seen the film. I don't know about yourself.
I haven't. I'm putting it in there because
it's certainly not
what you were about to say, probably.
It's not a film that I really want to go and see. This was sort of my had my reservations about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I should have put my whole faith in Quentin Tarantino when get near that sort of side of things. This film, on the other hand, from Daniel Farrands, does. And it's, from what I've gathered from Dave's review, obviously from the reviews I've heard from this as well, it's in pretty poor taste. I don't get near films like this, you know, that sort of sensationalise, you know, tragic events. Same as the killing of John Lennon, or whatever it's called, Chapter, whatever it was called. There's 2 films out about Lennon as well.
The little one.
I'm a big Lennon fan. I don't really want to go down the road of seeing what happened and then giving this jerk of all jerks, you know, the publicity that he craves so much. The same as you know, this lunatic mob as well, the Manson family, you know. I don't really want to get down that road, John. This came out obviously at the beginning of April this year. We've had plenty of time to see it if we really wanted to. In fact, I think it might have been on Netflix at one point as well. I'm totally body swerving it.
Look, Stephen, when certain hideous creatures from the past have obviously had stories adapted, and provided it's handled in the correct way, then I think it can be a success. We've seen it with the Zac Efron one. I think it was about Ted Bundy.
Yeah,
that was actually a little film, but it was more around the theatre of obviously the court case and stuff like that. It wasn't about the hideousness.
The manipulation of him.
Showing that he was an everyday guy, that he wasn't this, like you could pick him out, this hideous creature. He was just a normal guy, and it shows you it shows you the demon inside everyone. But this one, by all accounts, it's just stunning in its disrespectful nature of the way that it obviously views this story. I think it's centred around her having premonitions and whatnot, and then it actually goes into great detail what happened on the night of, obviously, that horrific night where she was killed and her baby and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's just a really disrespectful movie. It's exploitative, as this review does say. I'm actually looking at it. It's exploiting one of the most horrific murders for financial gain, essentially. And Hilary Duff, what the hell was she thinking putting her name to this? An absolute disgrace. It shouldn't have happened. I'm like you, I've not seen it, but it has to be in there just because of the stunning lack of self-awareness, essentially putting that out. It's an absolute joke. But look, guys, we will move on that note to the worst movie of 2019, which is The Fanatic.
Yeah.
Obviously, that John Travolta, that stunning. We speak about stunning. This movie, Stephen, is almost so bad that it is good. That's how bad it really is. Just the performance of John Travolta.
It's that bad it's funny, John.
It's that bad it's funny. I don't think you can miss John Travolta's performance. It's one of the worst movies, the most horrifying movies I've ever seen, and it completely lacks any real sense or purpose. But just for his performance alone, it's almost like a bad Nick Cage movie. You're transfixed by it. I'm absolutely transfixed.
I've seen bad Travolta films, John, but nothing as bad as this.
Yeah, this you will go a long way to top. This obsessive fan, just utterly obsessed with this big actor.
Moose, I think his name was.
Yeah, and he goes after, and just he's in his house and everything. It's just horrific. It's a horrific movie. I don't know how this movie was made, but look, it was made by Limp Bizkit.
It was Fred Durst, which when I saw the credits, John, I thought I know that name. I couldn't remember. I had to wait till
rolling.
Yeah, go back on that IMDb when I got home, and I went, I can't believe this film's been made by a member of Limp Bizkit. But yeah, I mean the whole plot as well, John, is very surreal, and a lot of it doesn't make any sense. Travolta's performance as well at times.
I think he said he thought it was good. I genuinely do.
It was unsettling, and I think that was obviously his goal, to perform this unsettling character called Moose. But for me, it went on too long. It was an hour and a half. It was on too long for me. But I just felt, how can they stretch this out for 90 minutes? I don't know.
Oh, see, I don't know how they stretched out for 90 minutes, but I was laughing my head off watching this. I love John Travolta. Look, I do. The Scientology has went to his head, probably more than Tom Cruise. He's completely lost in it. He's become a very strange guy. He's completely bald and he's kicking around with wigs on. He's got to accept it. I think he actually has accepted the baldness now, but yeah, I mean, even the haircut, the garments he's wearing, it's just the personality. I don't know, everything about it. It's the way he speaks, just the physical acting.
Yeah, it's a strange.
It's so good, it's bad. So bad, it's good. Sorry, so bad, it's good. I don't know what else to say, Stephen. I'm going into a fit of laughter just now, even thinking about it.
Yeah,
it was just terrible. There was a death in it, and it's never really
4.9 out of 10 as well, John. I think that's doing it. I think that's actually wrong. I don't Stephen, think it's as good as 4.9.
What would you rank this in terms of decade? Would you? We are actually thinking about doing worst movie of the last decade in a show coming up shortly. Would this make your top 10?
I don't know. There's films out there. It depends on the angle you're going for. Obviously, you could go down the road of films that are that bad that should have been good. This isn't one of them. This is just a poor film that I didn't expect too much out of it to begin with. But it depends how you're taking it, John. If it's a film you expect to do well and you're expecting to enjoy it and it doesn't, then this wouldn't be near the top 10. This is a bad film.
Yeah, it's a bad film, really. Yeah, but look, guys, that's going to round up the show today. What the hell did you make of our top 10? What was your worst movies of the year? Have you got some perils in there? Maybe the likes of The Rise of Skywalker. Maybe you thought Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or The Irishman should be in your top 10. If you've got anything to say, maybe perhaps share your top 10, you can do it down below in the comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying content like this. And if you do, then you see us again for our top 10 best movies of 2019. That'll be coming up in the next day or so as well.